Welcome to Fly on the Wall, a podcast where you have the opportunity to listen in on a live coaching conversation. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And now for today's episode.
Hey everyone, welcome to Fly on the Wall. I am so excited about this week's episode with my good friend, Pastor Jeremiah. Years ago, he started an incredible church in Arizona. And today, we're talking about how to build momentum in the church. Let's check out the coaching session.
Hey dude, how can I serve you today, man? What's on your mind and how can I help you?
You know, we know that as we move into having our own property and, you know, we've been a mobile church for 7 years now.
Yep.
And we've seen God do some great things. We've grown as a church. We've shrunk as a church. We've regrown as a church. We've moved as a church, multiple locations. We went through COVID. And so now we had an opportunity to purchase a property. What are some transitional changes that I should be aware of as we go from mobile church to established, like, hey, you're not, I was a church plant, but at some time you can't always just say, I'm a church plant. No, I'm a church. Yeah. So what are those, like, what does that look like? What are some things I should be aware of?
I think it's a great question. And there's one single big thing that comes to my mind. And I'll answer it this way. Years and years ago, when we built our first building, as you know, I'm the founding pastor of South Hills, and we've got about to launch our 12th campus. We had our very first site we ever built. And I'll never forget my mentor who got a mega church. And he calls me up, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And I go, man, we're ahead of schedule. He goes, yeah. He goes, I wouldn't be too fast. And I go, well, what do you mean by that? And he goes, don't get so fast to get in there. And he goes, you're going to watch it radically change when you get in there. And so he literally is joking around with me like, yeah, don't be so quick to finish the building because it's going to turn around. What I mean by that, Jeremiah, is this. And I knew what he meant by it is here's the thing that you're going to need to be cautious of. People are going to move in. It's only been a couple of weeks. Soon the excitement's going to wear out. It's just a matter of now it's just a building. At some point, you know, you're excited, but they'll be less excited faster than you. What happens is the urgency of vision, the urgency of growth, the urgency to serve, the spirit of, hey, let's get it done. We get here at 6 a.m. to set up, tear down, do all that stuff for a mobile church, whatever. All that has a very good chance of going away. And you got to be careful with that. So the biggest thing I would say to you is kind of like the guy that told me, don't be so quick to finish because once you get in there, you're going to watch the people's spirit change. And he was right. And I say the same thing to you. The need to keep vision in front of your people, the need to keep excitement in front of your people, the need to look at the next hill that you guys need to climb is very important because they will get comfortable really fast. Really fast, they'll get comfortable. There's an old saying, we shape the building, then the building shapes us. It's more than just our finances. It shapes us in our vision. It shapes us in the way that people respond. So the warning sign, I guess, or whatever word you want to use, Jeremiah, is be careful because it's only a matter of weeks or a couple months that it's just a building at that point. You're still excited. Because you're the pastor. And you know what it took to get there. Nobody knows what it took to get there like you. But if you don't keep vision in front of them, they will settle in very fast to a comfort zone of they don't have to serve as hard. They don't have to set up, tear down. So that's the thing that I would think about. I would start thinking about what do we want them to do? How do we love the community more than we've ever loved it? What major, not project, but what vision can we cast? What initiative can we go after? What thing can we do? How do we become more effective? How do we get, stronger, bigger, better in the community? How do we pastor not only the church, but pastor the city? Like, how do we do that in a way? It's in your heart, because I've known you for years. It's in your heart. But more than ever, It's got to get out of your heart and into the heart of people, because I'm telling you, the clock is ticking, and they'll settle in very comfortably. They'll settle in because there's no big raising money. There's no setting up and tearing down. There's no let's get together tonight and pray for upbuilding that God gives us a land, and like all that sort of maverick feel that you have is going to disappear if you don't create vision and have vision that people are going after. Yeah. So
that's I can see that. I can see the importance of that. And that's sort of where what we've been doing already, even before we moved in and as the first few weeks. So
yeah.
That's good. So as I do that, how do I, like, what will be some of the differences I will see leading the teams, leading my leaders, and leading my pastoral staff? Like, as I lead them through this, what are ways I need to encourage my team leads and area leads and directors? And then I guess the people who are on a team, what does that look like for them as I lead them and help them? And then those in leadership, and then as it comes to the pastoral staff, how do I lead them in this new kind of church? It's not really new church, but it is it's a whole new kind of thing. So how do what do you have to say to that?
Well, yeah, I think the awareness of what you and I just talked about needs to happen to your staff and key leaders for sure. They need to be aware what's about to happen. So I'm acting as if I'm Jeremiah. I'm sitting in front of my staff and my key leaders. I'm telling them, hey guys, we've been in the building now for whatever amount of weeks. The clock's ticking. It goes away. It's familiarity always breeds neglect. So the more familiar we become with this, the more we neglect this. And you need to explain to them the sense of intensity, the sense of setting up and tearing down, all the stuff we just talked about. That's all going to go away, guys. And so here's what we have to do. We have to make sure more than ever that the vision, that the reporting of our wins, that this is how many people got saved, this is how many people got baptized, this is what God is doing. More than ever, you're going to have to keep it in front of people, because the intensity that used to be there is gone. And now you're left with this. So more than ever, we've got to, if I'm speaking as if I'm talking to your team and as if I'm you, we've got to more than ever, we've got to keep our wins, our mission, our heart. It's got to be reported. And I think that could come from you as well, whether that is a bi-weekly update from Pastor Jeremiah on a 60-second video that you send out to your team and your team sends it to people, how they handle when they're in the huddles with their teams before Sunday service, all that stuff. More than ever, they're going to have to amp up the wins of the church, because all that is going away. And I think you need to they need to see the strength of your leadership wisdom to say, this is what's about to happen. Here's how we're going to get ahead of it. They need to hear that from you. They need to see that from you. Not, hey, I was talking to Chris. Just you need to say, hey, this is what's about to happen. This is why it's going to happen, and this is what we're going to do to get ahead of it. You got to, more than ever, they got to keep vision, because they've been relying on natural adrenaline, setting up, tearing down, raising $900,000, et cetera, over the last couple of years. All the up, down, theater, set up, all that stuff, all gone. And they're probably, here's what they're thinking: we've arrived.
Yeah.
You cannot have them think that. They need to understand that they can't go there, and they got to keep the wins, WINS, in front of their teams, or their teams will go there quick. Bro, I'm telling you, it won't take a year. Okay. It takes a few months, and you'll start feeling it.
Now, what about my pastoral staff? Like, what does it look like leading them? Is it similar? Are there other things that I need to be looking at encouraging them when it comes to leading in this time? Some cautions and some things I need to let them be aware of. I mean, other than this, is there ways to?
I think that it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing that you, excuse me, it's the same thing that you got to teach them, that they need to be aware of it, the wisdom, everything we just talked about. You got to do all that to your staff, no question about it. Where I would increase the volume with my staff over the key leaders is allowing them to be a part of, okay, guys, we have this building now. We have it 24/7. What do we need to look like? What could we start doing that we couldn't do before? What is a vision that makes people go, whoa, I want to get behind that. That sounds amazing. What is it? So you guys probably have had conversations about vision, things you want to do in the city, ways you wanted to reach people. All of that stuff has probably come up, but you've never really had the location to do it. And maybe that has, now it opens up some more opportunity. I think your team, people support what they create. So I think your team needs to have a feeling of, your staff have a feeling of helping to create that strategy. So guys, here's the problem. Here's how we're going to answer it. We're going to show the wins, do everything I just talked about a couple minutes ago. But let's talk about where we're headed. We're here. Great. But where are we headed? We're not headed to just be a Sunday to Sunday church. Where are we headed? What are we trying to accomplish? And maybe you bring up some things that you've done well in the past. Maybe you bring up some vision you've done well in the past, but you've never really been able to accelerate it to the next level. Maybe it's stuff for kids, maybe it's stuff for youth, maybe it's a heart that you guys have for whatever, but allow them to help you have a think tank, man. Have a kind of a mind mapping moment where you guys are able to look at a whiteboard and just go, what do we want to do in the next year? What could we, where are we wanting to go? And then how do we get our people on board for that? Because we've got to get them like, okay, hey, thank God we made it into the building, but we got to get something in front of them. I personally would bring the burden to them, and then you guys resolve it together. Like, man, what is our initiatives? What are things? So there's a church that's somewhat similar in your somewhat similar in your situation. And I was just recently talking to them and their staff, and they're presenting here in about a month or two. They're presenting 5 major things that they want to do for people under the age 18 in their community. They have a highly populated kid area, highly populated youth area, but they're talking about some huge things that caused me to even go, dude, that is bold. I mean, that is awesome. Like, you guys are really wanting to like crush it in this area. It was pretty amazing. But anyway, it was an exciting, even I heard it. I'm not even part of the church. I go, dang, that's pretty good. Like, that's like, wow, that's what your team needs to create. The kind of thing that makes people just go, whoa. Doesn't need to be a 10-year goal. Just like, guys, we're going on this thing over the next 12 months. Here we want to do in this community. We're going to do 5 major things, 3 major things, whatever. Let your team create it. Let them do the whole wins with their teams, but let them help create that vision. You got to get buy-in from your team that they see the problem, what's about to happen, and they want to be a part of the solution. They have to see the problem. If they don't see the problem, they won't be a part of the solution. Let them see the problem. Let them help come up with a solution.
So, Chris, in being in this new building, what is momentum that we have right now that maybe we don't realize we have?
What is momentum that you have right now that you don't realize?
That maybe, I mean, of course you can see the momentum. Everybody's excited about having a building. But what is momentum maybe that's in the community that we don't know we have, or that's in the church that is like, okay, if you tap into this, this is, so many people miss out on this momentum because they don't realize it's there. Is there that unseen momentum that you put enough fuel on that, like it will just continue? What is there that unseen momentum? If there is, what is it maybe within the church, and what is it maybe within the community?
Yeah, that's great. That's a brilliant question. What I would see as the momentum, I don't know how long lived it is, but what I see the momentum is just pure newness. You are new to the community. Now the church has been there, but you're a new church, new sign, new name, new everything. If it was me, I think you have an opportunity to target the surrounding communities on several opportunities, big events that you and I have talked about. And I would look at August, September, October, November, like all the way up to the holidays. I would look at like, what are some things that we could do that would make some noise in the community, some things that we could do on a Sunday that would just be like, we're here, we're giving this away, we're having this special guest, we're doing this certain fun day, we're doing something. New is new, it's like when, I don't know, Rubio's, I don't know if you guys have Rubio's in Arizona, but Rubio's, near where I live, a Rubio's opened up. Rubio's been around forever. It opens up and the line's going out the door. I'm like, we've all eaten here before. Why are we all standing in line? But within 3 months, no one was standing in line anymore. It was just back to normal. The newness wore off. Right now, it's new. And if it was me, I can just tell you what I would do. And I helped another church in Texas because they just went into a building. I said, don't just plan the day of the building. Plan the next 4, 5, 6 months. It's new for a while. Now, I don't think it's new forever, but wring that sponge and get all the, get all the juice you can out of the fact that you're new. And if it was me, I'd calendar out and tell my team, guys, we're new for about 4 or 5 more months. And after that, we're not new anymore. So what can we do? That's something that you may or may not have thought about, may have underestimated what newness brings, that new Rubio's that everybody's been to, but for some reason it's new and we all got to go there. It's the same thing here. It's the newness. So I always tell people when they're moving into a building, again, I just worked with a church in Texas about it. Like, it's all great, and it's beautiful buildings, ridiculously nice. I just said, talk to me about the first 6 months. They're like, 6 months, first 6 months of after the building, because that's the part. Those first few months are so important. And so that's the momentum I think that people miss, and maybe they just don't see and realize, and they don't capitalize it. Oh, we're new and people are just going to show up. Like, no, make some noise. Make some noise in the community, and have a Saturday time where you guys go out and pass out 5,000 door hangers, inviting people to whatever you're doing on Sunday. Like, get your people involved and make some noise, because that newness is still there in the community, even though it's the same building. It's still new. People drive by and go, oh, hey, the sign changed. Well, let's capitalize on it. Psychologically, people like that newness for a season.
Now let's say we're coming into a community and there's a preconceived reputation that's gone before us.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that's the truth. We don't know.
Yep.
But what are some maybe things that we need to be aware of going, okay, how do we maybe rebuild reputation, renew reputation? You understand my question?
Yeah. Yep. Excuse me. I think that you need to gravitate. If it was me, I would gravitate in any publication I did, try to find that tagline that you live off of, new church, new heart, ready to love this community. Some little tagline that kind of says, we're new and we're ready to love this community. We're new and we're ready to be a part of it. We're here to serve. Something that says we're new, and something I think people, obviously, again, who knows what the reputation was before. Let's even say that it was bad before. We're not saying it was, and you don't even know if it was, but let's just say it was. Either way, we don't want to say anything about it. That's just wrong.
Yeah.
But new church, new heart, new community, new heart, new church, new heart, whatever. Ready to love this community, love where you live. We love this area. Something that's, get your team together and just, I would make sure that was promoted everywhere on everything I did to the community for at least the next 3 or 4 or 5 months. That we're a new church, new vision, new heart, whatever you guys come up with, you're creative, ready to love the community, ready to serve. We love this community, whatever. Something that just tells people it's new, not something that tells people the past was bad, but that this is new. So whatever they have, good or bad in the past, this is new. It's worth trying. We're here. We're not going anywhere. We want to love on this community, and we want to make a difference. And especially if you send out something, a mailer, or you do something that kind of shows 3 or 4 really cool stuff coming up over the next 2 months. And they're like, man, we're here to love you, new church, new heart, ready to love this community. And then it shows a few things and they're like, dang, they're doing this for kids, doing this for adults. They're running this parenting class. They're having this big day splash thing for kids. You know, I would try to find something that communicated newness without being.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess another question I would have, going back to my team. So, you know, where it's parts of it are an older property.
Yeah.
Every one of my directors has a stuff they want, and sometimes it's the stuff they think they need. It's a want. And how do you? I mean, you look at. I mean, it's old. The parts of the property were built in the 70s, hasn't been renovated in who knows when. And, but you know, we went all in buying this.
Yeah.
So how do you lead your team through? Hey, we got to prioritize. And how do you lead your church through that as well, and not always create like, hey, we need this, or hey, here's another list of things we need. How do you do that? How do you know when to pause? How do you know when to sort of re-ask again? Like, what does that whole look like? You know, I don't want to always ask, but the reality is we have needs, and like one day we're going to need a new roof and all that kind of stuff. So how do you walk your team through, you know, setting all the prioritizing their stuff, and then how do you walk each sort of ministry through, hey, not that you're not as important, but they are more important than you right now. And then how do you walk your church through? Do you understand?
Yeah, I get it. So let me answer these, and then I have another Zoom call coming up, but I still got a few minutes, so we're good. One, no doubt, man, when you get into a building, everybody goes nutsos, and your staff doesn't calculate like you do. They don't sit in the chair that you do. You're like, wait a minute, you know, we don't exactly have the money for that. I don't think I'm not about to tell you anything that's like, ooh, insightful. Let's all take notes from what Chris Thompson just said. I don't think it's insightful. I just think it's a reminder. You got to bring your team together and have a reality talk with them. Like, hey, we went all in getting in here. And we're not sitting on, you know, X amount of dollars in the bank. We've got to be very, very careful what we do in the future. And so I just need you guys to be okay with it. Give me your wish list. That's fine. Let's work together as a staff, and let's knock out these things as we can. Another thing that I've done is in the past where I'm just giving you some different ideas. One, I think, is just to be honest, be realistic. Let them talk about their wish list, whatever. Another thing is sometimes people come to me with a wish list. I remember when we moved into a building, and I remember the same thing. Oh, I need this. I need this. I'm like, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to deal with you three first and you three first. I need $10,000 worth of stuff. Nope, here's 5,000, make it work. And I just gave them a budget, and I just said, this is all you got. What's cost 10,000? Make it work. You know, get the other part donated, whatever you got to do. But I think an honest conversation, and then setting the budgets and letting them know that sometimes in life, other things just become more important at that moment. And right now, it's not that you're not as important. It's just this is important at that moment. This is the thing that needs attention at that moment. I've always likened it to a house. Hey, my toilet, you got to jiggle the thing, the level before it stops. But now my roof's leaking. Well, the roof leaking is going to get the attention. And I'd like to fix the toilet, whatever, but I've got a roof leaking. I think if you give people some analogies like, hey, when you're in your house, the thing that needs most important is pretty clear to make out. It doesn't mean that you're less important. So I would do that. As it pertains to the church, are you talking about how to continue to raise funds? Or are you talking
Yeah, I guess how to continue to raise funds. But you know, so we've been talking about, you know, so we're in this we call it Build Your Legacy campaign. We Doug Jurassic, Jurassic helped us with creating, just sort of doing that coaching. And so we're in the middle, almost to the end of our 1 year long Build Your Legacy campaign. And so buying this campus, our whole thing is like, hey, this is not just a legacy for you, but this is for generations to come. How do we tag on to, like, you know, we look at some of our kids' rooms, and I mean, it's not a matter of, yeah, we wish. It's a matter of, okay, it's just gross. The carpet, I wouldn't want to put my skin on this carpet. I'm okay with wearing tennis shoes. So how do we, you know, share with the church some needs, with vision, of course, and how do we know when to pause on it and to say, you know what, we can make this work for now. What does that look like? That, because I don't want to be the church that's always asking for money, always wanting to be in a campaign.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't want to be that church. You don't want to be the church that's always asking for money. What Doug shared with you about legacy giving, some people call it kingdom builders, where there's this sort of over and above. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Like, here's our tithe, but I'm going to commit to give $50 a month to over and above my tithe to help with the church, whatever. I do think you got to rely on that, and you got to push that a lot. The way that you push that is in celebrations, not in you got to give, you know, that I think you do need to push that. I'll back up and say that's one reason that I think it's always important for you as a lead pastor to know who your top 10 or 12 high capacity givers are and have a continual ongoing relationship with them, because you're going to learn that each of them have pockets. I mean, I don't mean financial pockets. I mean pockets of things that matter to them. So one person, this really matters, man. They're just all about children. Like, that's all they think about. It's all they talk about. Oh, the next generation. Well, that dude has probably got a lot of expendable money, and you're able to say, hey, man, I know we just got in here. We're trying to redo the carpet. You know, could you think about that? That's why it's so important as a lead pastor to foster relationships with people that have that potential, because they have that gift to give, and you got to connect them to that vision. It's so important. Not taking advantage of it. You're just connecting them to the vision. I do think that you just got in a building, so it is very difficult to go there and do it as a pulpit. I would push the legacy giving. I would be a little careful on the needs as much as the legacy giving, but maybe it's like, hey, thank you for your legacy giving. For the next 6 months, our legacy giving is going to go towards, the majority of it's going to go towards A, B, and C. We got to redo the kids' carpet. We got to Cleanliness and safety is so important to us. We got to take care of that. So thank you for continuing to give to the legacy. Now, you know, you may or may not philosophically think that's okay, or you might have made other commitments, but I know that I would do that. I would say, hey, we're making our commitments to all the other nonprofits that we're helping, but for the next 3 or 4 or 5 months, whatever, or for the next 90 days, whatever you give to legacy is going to go to these 3 major needs. And if you hit needs about cleanliness, safety, anything like that, people usually respond, especially in a new building, because they see what the problem is. So I would stick to the legacy. I would stick to a few things that you're trying to get done. I wouldn't make it like it's a campaign. I would just say, for the next 3 months, whatever comes in is going over here. So whatever God puts on your heart, great. And then if you have those great relationships, and you know certain people have a heart, when I say pocket, I don't mean financial, but a pocket in their heart that's for kids or for whatever, those are the conversations that I would have, because they probably have expendable income that they're going to give away to something.
Okay.
So mention the need to them. But that's what I would do.
Cool.
Well, man, dude, we're out of time, brother. I got to jump on another one. But, dude, congratulations on the new building. Dude, I'm so
Thank you so much.
You, and I'm excited about what God's done in your ministry. You've done an incredible job.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, keep it up, dude. Let's talk soon.
All right, later. Bye.
See you, bud.
Thanks for stopping by today. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and to be on the lookout for more podcasts from Fly on the Wall. See you next time.